Okay, welcome to the Life-Saving Chronicles. I'm David Kotz, your host. I'm here with Bridget. Bridget is the manager of this beautiful aquatic facility. Tell us all about yourself and your facility here.
Hello, my name is Bridget, and I'm the aquatics director here at the lovely Deer Lake Club. And we have this lovely, beautiful property to manage.
How many square meters is it?
We're
Yard,
probably looking at about 2 acres of water a month, give
two
or
acres?
take a little.
But clearly, in addition to the swimming area, which we just saw, over to our right, we have some sailboats.
Yep.
They look very pretty. We've got rowboats, so forth and so on. So what's different, Bridget, about lifeguarding at a lake environment or a beach environment than your traditional pool environment?
There's a lot of differences, few similarities. One of the biggest differences is we do have to watch the boating area as well as your regular waterfront swimming. So we do have some jet skis and a motorboat to help us get to people that are far in the back as quickly as possible. If you see, there's a skid on the back, so we can have people go on the skid, get a nice up close view to be able to perform rescues.
So the operator of the jet ski obviously sits here.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have a second rescuer sitting on the back
Yeah.
right around here. And then we can put the victim, pardon
Right
me,
there on the
right
skid.
across, it's the drowning person.
Yeah.
New terminology,
Yeah.
drowning person. They go on that skid,
Yes, they
which
do.
helps get them out of the water.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So some different equipment.
Yeah.
What else is different?
You can't see the bottom. Really not visible.
That's about 8 inches of water, maybe 10. And
Yeah.
we're
The
just seeing the bottom there. So it's dark. It's a little mucky. There's
It's
some
dark and
weeds.
mucky, yup, and as soon as you start moving around down there, you start kicking it all up, which makes visibility even more difficult.
Okay. So that's definitely a challenge for lifeguards. What about animals?
Oh, yeah. What animals would you like to know about? We have fish here and turtles.
They're fit
They're
in the lake.
in the lake.
Swimming with the people.
With the people, yes.
Is that a problem at all, or do they seem to coexist okay?
They coexist.
Okay.
They're pretty much scared of the giant child splashing.
So the fish aren't a problem. How about other animals in the water?
For the most part, most of them tend to stay away. You get your occasional water snake that decides to relocate to a sunnier spot, but we usually splash them away and they tend to disappear quite quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm fond of the water snakes.
No, it's an acquired taste.
Okay. So we got some snakes, turtles.
Turtles. We have turtles. Yep.
Okay.
They make their occasional appearance here and there, but they tend to keep to themselves.
Okay. So fish, turtles, snakes.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Are we talking inside or outside of the water?
Oh, yeah. Go for it. What do you got?
Oh, we've got deer, bear, fox, coyotes.
Did you say bear?
Yes, we do.
I mean, at the
Bears.
Deer Lake Club, I was expecting the deer. That
We
makes
do.
sense.
Yes. No, we do. We have bears.
How do you deal with bears and people interacting? That seems like a challenge.
It is a challenge. It is. So we always make sure staff is alerted, and we usually try to just have staff handle it, beep loud voices, make sure they try to stay away from people. And then if they are making their way towards people, we notify them that the bear is coming.
So have there been any unfortunate incidences, or have you guys coexisted fairly well?
We've coexisted fairly well, some close encounters, but nothing like dangerous.
Cool. So at a facility like this, how many lifeguards do you have on duty at one time?
So typically, when we're at our peak hours, we usually have about 8 lifeguards working.
All right. So obviously we see a couple of lifeguard stands on the beach.
Mhm.
There's 2 stands on the beach that we see that obviously someone would sit in. I see 2 stands on the dock, one on the shore side dock, one on the far side dock.
Mhm.
What else? Where else did you position your lifeguards?
So we usually position a lifeguard near the slide, and then we have another lifeguard that sort of roves around in the deep end to cover deep water tests, or just to make sure they can cover any areas where it's a little more populated. We also have a lifeguard covering the boats, so they also monitor to make sure that everyone in the boating area is also safe.
Excellent. Now, your lifeguards have a slightly different training requirement than pool lifeguards.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the additional training that's required?
So they are required to be able to swim a little bit longer because it is open water. So they do have to swim a longer distance. They are also required to be able to use a mask and fins. And with mask and fins, it comes with several skills that they need to be able to do. One of them being a deep water line search for if, God forbid, there was a missing person. And they would all sort of line up, dive to the bottom, do 3 sweeps, and come back up. And then they would continue until either the person is found, hopefully on land or in the water.
So there's 2 different search techniques that you're just
Yeah.
talking about, right? So one's a line search where we're all walking.
Yeah.
And the other is the mask and fin kind
Line
of search where
yes.
we're diving down to the bottom
Mhm.
and checking out the
Yes.
bottom. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's like really unique about this
So
particular facility.
we use a rescue board with similar to a surfboard style, but when we are doing any of our twice a year, we do a long distance swim and a middle distance swim out in the middle of the lake, and we use the rescue board to go out there because it's a little faster, it's a little easier to maneuver, and in open water, it's exactly like using a rescue tube. But instead of you having to swim the person back, you can paddle yourself back on a board.
And so for distressed swimmers, how many people can you support on one rescue board?
You could support at least 2 to 3 people on a rescue board, depending on sizes.
Okay, very cool. So not only can you make rescues faster, but you can rescue more people with a
Yes.
rescue board. Very cool
Mhm.
stuff. We've got one at Round Valley Reservoir. It was pretty cool. Were you there for Round
No,
Valley?
I wasn't there.
So there's a great one at Round Valley. We'll check that out. All right, we're back here with Bridget at the Deer Lake Club in Boonton, New Jersey. It is a gorgeous day,
It is.
Friday before Memorial Day. I've noticed that they've made some serious efforts to making sure everything looks good. I saw Bridget's mother planting flowers, making sure this place is looking just gorgeous.
Yes.
So I know we're out here on the dock now,
Mhm.
and you can see we've got a backboard here. We're ready to go. So the equipment's here. What about in-service training? Is that different here at the lake than it is at the pool?
It is different here. So we do training at least once a week for the entire summer, and we make sure that they do conditioning so that they are physically fit and ready to do the job for the week. And they swim at least 22 laps once a week, along with practicing other skills so that they stay sharp on their skills. Plus, with these high edges here, it's really important to practice being able to get somebody in and out of the water safely.
So that's at least 18 inches.
It is,
So it's
yes.
not, it's like some of the pools that we work at, it's
You
flush.
can slide them right on, and here
Right.
you have to do a little more heavy lifting to get them up sometimes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So your emergency action plan, or EAP, is a little more involved here
It is.
than it is at the pool.
It is. So we practice finding which would be the quickest exit point based on where they are. So sometimes we do a little stop motion rescues where we do a rescue, I have them pause and say which exit point would be closer so that they can learn where they are, they can make faster decisions.
That sounds very smart. That's nice.
Mhm.
So the other thing we were talking about as we were preparing is there's an additional requirement imposed by the state of New Jersey,
Yes.
an age requirement in order to
Yes.
work at a waterfront. So pool lifeguards can be as young as 15.
15. Yep.
What about here at the waterfront?
Here at the waterfront, you have to be 16 years old.
To be a lifeguard.
To be a lifeguard and work.
So could they work maybe in the boat area, or?
They could definitely work in just the boating area at 15, obviously with an extra lifeguard who is 16 to help supervise it. But we definitely have jobs for them so that they can also still practice and keep their skills nice and sharp. So that when they are 16, especially those summer birthdays that we have, they can just jump right in the stand and already know how everything works.
Very cool. Let's talk quickly about the zones here you
Yes.
have, because I see we have a stand here, right here on the deck.
So this is our deep 1 zone, and it goes from out to that dock that's out there, almost about halfway to where the shallow water meets, and they cross over with the shallow end a little bit.
Excellent.
And then the deep 2 chair covers all of those lap lanes, and then up to the very corner of that floating dock that's out there.
So the deep 2 chair is what you're calling this one out
that
here.
furthest one out there,
Got it.
yes.
Okay. Cool. So that takes care of the swimming area.
Mhm.
Over here. Well, do you guys have a swim team? Is this like a competitive swim type of thing?
It is not. It is really more for our swim lessons that we offer here because we do want everyone to know how to swim. We do offer swim lessons, which they get to practice in the lanes and everything. And then we also use it for our deep water test.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes.
Do you allow swimming beyond the?
That's when we do a twice-a-year swim where we go swim to the middle of the lake and all the way out to the furthest end of the lake, because we make sure we have extra lifeguards, and we have at least 5 to 6 lifeguards out there. Plus we have our 8 still manning the regular beachfront.
Outstanding. That sounds pretty cool. What else is different about a waterfront environment?
It's a little harder when, especially in the deep end, when kids jump in, you have to be a little more diligent, making sure that they pop back up and determine, did they swim a little bit under the water? How far did they swim? Because you can't see it like a typical pool where you can say,
Right.
oh, I see them. You have to keep an extra eye out. So you definitely have to have a good scan when watching the water.
So what about what's underneath the docks? We're on these docks, they feel
Yes.
very stable
Yes.
right now. Is it possible kids could swim
Yes.
underneath?
It is possible for them to swim underneath. It is definitely a rule that they are not allowed to swim underneath. So we do try to make sure that we are very,
Look, it's
yes,
one of the rules.
it
It's
is
right
one of
there.
our rules, yes. So we definitely have more rules probably than a pool does, just for safety reasons, because you can't see the bottom. So it definitely makes it harder. And swimming under the dock, it's just like holding your breath extra long in a pool. It's just not a safe choice.
No, and we know there's been some cases where bad things have happened.
Yes.
If you surface suddenly underneath the dock and hit your head,
Yeah.
that could have unfortunate results as well.
Yes, it can.
Bridget, I want to talk to you about something very specific that happens here at your facility that's a little different than a pool. When you have a missing child or
Yes.
even just a person,
Mhm.
obviously at a pool, we can look down in the pool and go, okay, there's no one there.
Yep.
We feel better about this.
Mhm.
Not so much the case here.
No.
So tell us about your particular emergency action plan when you have a missing child.
So our typical emergency action plan for this would be 2 air horn blasts. And if for whatever reason the air horn isn't working or you're not near one, it's 3 long whistle blasts.
Okay.
And we clear everybody out of the water. So we empty the entire lake. And then based on the information we receive from whoever's reporting the person missing and their age and when they were last seen is sort of where we start our search. So if we find out that they were a smaller child, we start in the shallow end with a line search and we sweep with our feet. And then we move into the deeper water and move that way. But we also have to call volunteers, and we do have other staff members who are trained in the shallow water search, but not the deep water search. But we have them break off into the wooded areas where we have a playground that's right behind me. We have a snack shack. We have picnic areas, parking lots. So we have to send people to land areas as well as water areas. So it's a little more complicated in that we have to send both water and land searches at the same time.
We look at places, not just the water,
Yes.
but where would a child really want to go if they were going to disappear?
Typically the snack bar.
Yeah, me too.
Occasionally you find them at the park or the fishing docks because some kid caught this big fish. Lucky for us, we haven't had water searches. If we have, they've usually been getting out of the water and they stand next to their parent and we're like, that's good. Those are the ones we like the most. But typically they're not in the water, but you still have to check it.
Is that the scariest scenario that you kind of, when you think about what could possibly go wrong, that's what keeps you up at night?
That's what keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely the one that you remind the lifeguards that they have to make sure they're vigilant on the stand and they're always watching and, they're always checking their zones and, keeping an eye on that kid who's kind of wandering by themselves. Because, sometimes we even see the kid wandering and we're like, hey, where's your mom and dad? And because if they don't know where they are, at least we have the kid and we're not searching. I rather search for parents than search for the child.
Indeed.
Yes.
But so it sounds like you've practiced this plan quite a bit.
We do.
And, it's several things going on simultaneously, which
is.
just makes it interesting for the lifeguards and the lifeguard managers to do.
Yeah, so we make sure that we practice it at least every time we do drills. They're practicing it because it is probably one of the most common, because we do encourage the parents, if they can't find their child, to tell us so that we can react to the situation as quickly as possible. But it is also one of the scariest, and it's one of the most exhausting things we probably do.
Gotcha. I know one other thing that I just thought of that makes this facility and most lakes and beaches different than a pool
Mhm.
is water temperature.
Yes.
How warm is your lake right now?
Oh, it's not. It's not at all. I mean, it's Memorial Day weekend, and the top of the water is probably okay, but the further down you go, the colder it gets. So
Right.
you definitely need a couple 80, 90-degree days to sort of heat up the water. So there are times where we do warn people that it is too cold to swim. And, there are some people who like cold water.
Sure.
But we typically warn them if it is too cold.
Now, along with the temperature,
Mhm.
so my guess is I don't see any filters and pumps and whatnot, so we're not chlorinating this lake.
No, we're not.
You're doing it the
It
way
is all
nature
natural.
the way nature intended.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So do you still have to test the water periodically?
We do. So we get tested once a week to make sure that there's no like high bacteria levels or anything like that. And as long as our tests come back good, we're allowed to open and stay open, and we're good to go.
Because I'm imagining there's not much you can do to mitigate.
No, sadly, there's not much. It's sort of just a waiting game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Bridget, I'll spill the beans. I know that you're not just the lifeguard manager here at this facility.
Not.
Also, Bridget is a lifeguard instructor
I am.
and a lifeguard management person as well. So
Yes.
she's taken all those Red Cross courses.
I have, yes. And it's important to have all of those courses to manage a facility, because you need all the tools in your, tool belt to sort of solve all the problems.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Well, Bridget, it's been a pleasure talking to you again today. It is a beautiful day
It's
here
gorgeous.
at Pier. I'm almost ready to jump in the water.
Not quite. There's no lifeguards yet.
Good point. We have to be a lifeguard on duty. Awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll check in with you again this summer, but thank you so much for
All right.
being with us today.
It was lovely.
Dave Kotz from the Life Saving Chronicles. See you soon.